Hello, ladies, gentlemen, everyone between and beyond. Welcome back to Crit and Crit, and we are continuing our discussion of Pygmalion by George Bernard Shaw. I am Axion, this is Scintilla.
And I'm Sit.
Yep. And we are continuing Mega Man X.
Is that a bear or a badger?
Neither.
Okay. They've missed an opportunity here. They should have just gone with Armored Dillo.
Ha. So,
I demand redress for this.
So, when last we left, we had gotten to the end of Pygmalion and spent a not insignificant amount of much due time on Shaw's own epilogue to the play, wherein he was quite emphatic about there shall be no shipping.
I mean, he was perfectly fine with shipping Eliza and Freddy, but, like, between Eliza and Higgins, no, absolutely not, because, well, Eliza deserves better. Like, I mean, most people deserve better. And, well, he actually calls this out specifically. Eliza has no use for the foolish romantic tradition that all women love to be mastered, if not actually bullied and beaten. When you go to women, says Nietzsche, take your whip with you. Sensible despots have never confined that precaution to women. They have taken their whips with them when they have dealt with men and been slavishly idealized by the men over whom they have flourished the whip much more than by women. Which, that is a very interesting thing to hear when it's actually just brought up in regards to, like shipping in a play. Because it has a lot of other implications if you really want to read more into this, but I'm trying to restrict this just to Pygmalion.
Right.
But yeah, Shaw has no patience for the whole slap, kiss, see, we argue, but it's really because we're in true love with each other. Aw. Nonsense. He's like, no, Eliza is an adult who can make her own decisions. Higgins is an adult who made a bunch of very bad decisions. Why does he even think that Eliza would want to be around him in any capacity? Other than he's used to getting his way.
Which kind of, if we take the time to think about it, takes us back to the beginning of the story. At the beginning of the story, Eliza is a young woman who, despite being poor and lower class, has her own agency. She has a not particularly well-off business, but she owns her own business. She sells flowers. She sells them on the street side, in the middle of the rain, and as said, she's poor, but she's self-established to enough degree to survive. She does not rely on her father, and when her father shows back up, she has absolutely no interest in being involved with him. And while she has a dream of being something better, she seems more or less happy with her life and her current status.
I actually want to point out that, like, when her father shows up at Higgins' place when he finds out Eliza is there, he actually doesn't recognize Eliza when she comes downstairs. So, you know, that's a thing.
Yep. So, she starts this situation self-sufficient, capable of caring for herself, with her own wants and desires. Higgins shows up, convinces her to basically surrender her existence to him, trains her in such a way as to make her unable and unfit to do her former job, but does not give her the money, resources, or access to society beyond linguistic teaching to actually fit in where she now sounds like she belongs. All aid Eliza receives throughout the story, other than Higgins' linguistic instructions, comes from Colonel Pickering or from Freddy.
Or from Mrs. Higgins, actually.
Or from
Mrs. Higgins
yes.
is the first person to actually raise a concern with this situation. She outright asks Henry what he plans to do when this experiment is done, and when Henry doesn't actually answer it, he just leaves. She's just like, ugh, men. Because she understands, like, no, a young woman like Eliza is going to have a keener view of the problems she is going to face here. Because, well, as Eliza herself puts it when she talks to Higgins, whose advice to her is, I don't know, why don't you get married? That's probably what most people do. We were above that at the corner of Tottenham Court Road. What do you mean? I sold flowers. I didn't sell myself. Now you've made a lady of me. I'm not fit to sell anything else. I wish you'd left me where you found me. Which, ouch.
Yep. And if the implication is unclear, she is accusing Higgins of basically running a prostitute creation service through the veneer of creating a proper lady.
Which I don't know if that's quite how it was meant to be read, because like I think that's just how she sees, like, well, I don't know, I guess I should get married now because that's all I can do anymore. And I know Higgins definitely didn't intend it that way, if only because I'm fairly certain Higgins doesn't actually think about romance literally at all.
I can get behind that opinion. He definitely seems at best oblivious, at worst apathetic to the subject. Will you please die? Thank you.
That's not a way to talk about Higgins. I mean, it is, but...
Fair, but not what I meant.
Yeah, so it's really interesting to me that Shaw basically went out of his way for, like, aside from Freddy and Pickering, one being in love with her, the other just being generally a nice and generous person, the only support Eliza actually receives is from Mrs. Higgins and Mrs. Pierce, both women who are therefore more familiar with the kinds of concerns that Eliza is likely to have, because literally the only thing Henry is fixated on is pronunciation and linguistics. He has no use for anything else in life except his very, very narrow field of expertise, to the point where he cannot understand why anyone is getting frustrated with him when he's doing what he considers to be his highest calling. So he has no practicality outside of this. Like, so Eliza wants to open a flower shop. He teaches her a completely different level of language, so she has to adjust. Pickering mentions some concerns, Mrs. Higgins mentions some concerns, and it just seems to completely slide off of Higgins because he doesn't understand why they're concerns, because he didn't think of them that way. Why would anyone else? This could
Very
just be
insular mindset.
Yeah, and this could just be due to the fact that, well, Higgins has never been in a position where he's had to struggle. So, of course, Eliza is going to think about, well, how can I make a living? She's always had to work her butt off to get enough food to survive. She's always had to worry about these things. Higgins hasn't. So it's just not something he's ever had to spend time thinking about. But, well, it doesn't really excuse the fact that he's kind of a jerk about literally everything else, but, you know. So, then Shaw does go on to say that, like, yes, Freddy and Eliza did struggle financially for a while because, well, neither of them ever learned any business skills. So they really had to learn as they were going. As they opened the flower shop, Pickering really helped them get through that, but after a while, their shop did become very successful. She continued to associate, at least on basic civil terms, with Pickering and Higgins, but she was never shy about calling Higgins out on things, to the point where Pickering did have to repeatedly tell her to please ease up on him, good Lord Eliza. Which, I mean, probably good for Higgins to have someone stand up to him for once, because, yeah.
What just happened?
You got homing torpedo.
It finished the level while I was still in the middle of the level. I wonder what happened.
I don't know, a winner is you?
I guess. That's not the first glitch we've encountered. Anyway, that seems like a decent enough stopping point, since we are getting close to our end time. You have definitely had a lot to say about this, and we do have a lot more to say, and we have about half the game, 2/3 of the game left to go. So we will have plenty of time for us to get the rest of our opinions out. So we will see you all next time.
Bye!